Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Saturday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. It is a very pleasurable Saturday as well because we're actually leaving off to the good old forest of Finland in the not so distant future in the next few hours here. So I do want to say that I'll have a limited connectivity to the internet during the next few days. So if you are trying to reach me via email or whatever it might be, I'll do my best to get back to you, but I probably will be a little bit slow in that endeavor. Also, I want to make a quick announcement here as well as Bybit's promotion is slowly coming to an end at the end of the month here, so the next couple days, as they are offering 0% on maker fees, meaning that if you get filled on a limit order not at market value, then you don't pay a fee. So it's actually a pretty damn good promotion. There is a link in the description below to take advantage of it, and then you get that promotion for 30 days, I do believe. Cool. All right, so that's enough shilling right there. Let's just jump into it right here. I wanted to first follow up on the short-term timeframes of Bitcoin and then talk about, actually, let's just talk about perhaps the most important thing that happened in the last 24 hours. Hey, guess what? CME closed the weekly above the 200 moving average. So all of that good old meme action is coming back into the play right here. And hey, I actually would be looking at that as a higher term time frame pivot now, meaning to say that as long as Bitcoin is above about 22,800 or so, that same area of the 200 simple on the weekly here, I do look at this as more or less likely to carry on with the overall bear market bounce. Bear market bounce targets, we can get into soon enough. But first and foremost, I wanted to go over the lower term timeframes and follow up from yesterday's short term timeframe analysis. Okay, so yesterday we were looking at a bit of a range, but likely to test back down to the range lows, a little bit of a short-term trap. Yes, I have been abusing that word, but it's YouTube and it's fun, and well, gotta find a new word. So unless you have a better one, have to think about a little bit more creativity. Anyways, in this case. We kind of have a similar setup today. This is actually Mexico right here. Played at a nice filthy downside move. This, by the way, is not shown on any other major exchange, so it's kind of the odd man out. Here's the index. Here's Bitstamp. Here is Coinbase, and here is Bybit. You can see that all of them haven't put in that move. But the funny thing about Mexico right here is actually, I do think that something relatively similar to that move probably does occur today. Now, with that in mind, or at least why am I saying that? Well, a few things. We do see that 4-hour BBWP is trending lower. We're seeing a major contraction here, so we probably are going to see a resolution of this current range on the short-term timeframes. Maybe not today. Again, I'm really not a big fan of weekends, or at least I don't put too much faith into analysis on weekends. More or less a setup for the next week to come, like early in the next week to come, maybe late Sunday, early Monday, something like that. And by the way, I just realized that you can't actually see the time frame now, so there we go. Nice one. Okay, beautiful. All right, anyways, so yes, that is setting up. On top of that, we do see a very slight amount of bearish divergence on 4-hour RSI. We also see that 4-hour stochastic momentum over here is also, if we go to like a exchange that's actually trading right now, it's also down as long as Bitcoin is pivoted below 24,100. Kind of same thing that we did see in yesterday price action as well. So all of those things combined, I do think that Bitcoin probably trades a bit more sideways here, maybe test back down around pretty much where we just saw Mexico trade, but none of the other exchanges. Maybe that's 23.3 to 23.1 region. That's not super concerning. That's still higher lows, especially on the medium and higher term timeframes. What is of interest here, of course, is the higher term timeframes and how this setup looks, coming into realistically Monday, probably Tuesday. All right, so as we get into that, let's go over here to the daily. All right, and actually, let's first go over the short-term timeframe ranges. I apologize, we should have done that earlier. Or it's basically the same thing as yesterday. Very, very short term, 23.5 to the downside on a closing basis versus 24,300 to the upside on a closing basis. Yet again, if Bitcoin does break it to the downside, I am looking for a move very specifically somewhere around 22,700 to 22,800 in alignment with that 0.5. Also in alignment with the weekly 200 simple. Very, very big pivot. If Bitcoin were to close the week below there on spot price action, that'd be a really good indication that we're going to see a major trap come from this region, like an actual trap, with first targets down to about 21-ish thousand, probably bounce there, and then probably comes down to the weekly range lows and maybe even continues lower from there. That actually would be possible if we did see something like that. That would be a good setup for major continuation lower. To the upside, same sort of targets, reasonable as before. Same shit that we've been looking at for the past almost month and a half now, somewhere around about $26,500 bucks. All right, cool. So let's now go to the daily, and this is where things become a lot more interesting here, right? All right, so as far as the daily goes, there is something that is rather powerful going on right now. The daily jewel is potentially going to get a signal to the upside. This is not confirmed just yet, and it is actually rather important to be waiting for confirmation on jewel signals like this, especially when it's not like in a perfect posturing. And in this case, you know, if we do see this close today as a light blue cyan color, as you see right now, plus the DMI supporting, that would be a good indication that Bitcoin very likely does make another move to the upside, probably around that $26,500 region. That brings up the question, when? When does that happen? Well, before we get into when that happens, I also wanted to go over daily stochastic momentum over here. Guess what? It's pivoted right at 22,700. So again, a lot of confluence around that region. We got the weekly 200 simple. We got the daily momentum pivot. We also have one of the major fibs coming in right around there. And also just be, you know, a general major range break as well. So a lot of things kind of lining up with that region. As long as Bitcoin's above, Boolah still have the hopium on their side for another drag higher. If Bitcoin starts to trade below, very likely coming back down to lows with the stop along the way somewhere in low $21,000 region. All right, sweet. So now that we got that, we got daily jewel, we got daily stoch momentum. So on the topic of the weekly now, going back over here to CME, which keep in mind is already closed for the week. So all of this is already confirmed. We do see our first close over closure where the weekly stochastic momentum is headed to the upside, as Bitcoin did close above the momentum pivot, which was 19,500 basically. Okay, so why is that relevant? Well, it's really going to happen a few other times in Bitcoin's history. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Working on time number 6 right here. And so what I've done is I've done an analysis as to what the reversion plays off these major regions have looked like in the past. And as you can see right here, the historical bounce has been about 56.5%. There is some good variance in that. Some, some as low as about 42%, some as high as about 72%. But, you know, that would, guess what, put Bitcoin, kind of took the average of that, kind of put Bitcoin, guess where, about $26,500. Interesting. On top of that, we do see that the days until the next high was about 45 days on average. So 45 days on average from that low would put Bitcoin where? Basically around the second week of August. So let me actually pull this one up. That would be between the 7th to 13th, most likely there, if that average continues to play out. I do want to highlight though, one of the signals of the 6 prior ones did not work out. So 83.33% did work out in that fashion. One of them complete failure, just for full disclosure. Anyways, taking this one step further, I wanted to bring out this chart yet again. This is the PMARP chart on the weekly. We spoke about this yesterday, but I just like the confluence here, seeing that it's a completely different indicator, as the PMARP measures the distance that price action is from, you know, my moving average, which is a 20 VWMA with a look back of 100. And basically anytime that we have seen this get to extreme lows, which I define as below 2 percentile, the average bounce from these regions over the full history of Bitcoin, of which there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, working on time number 13, has led to an average bounce of about 59% done over the course of 53.5 days, which if we take that from the low, which this is on spot price action, not CME, so the numbers are different here, you know, 50%, or yeah, about 50% puts you at about $26,500 as well. And again, there is some variance in this with these moves as low as about mid 40s to as high as about, you know, 80 or yeah, about 80% or so. So that does kind of seem reasonable. And the days from that last major low to the next major high, 53.5 on average. Guess where that'd put us? That would put us again in the second week of August. So that's kind of where I'm still looking at if this move does get continuation. I define continuation as a full hour closure above 24,300, preferably higher term time frame than that. Like a daily would look a lot better, especially over a weekend. I would not trust lower term time frames, but ultimately that's kind of what I'm looking for right there. And again, to the downside, I think we've been quite adamant about that as far as the major pivots. So I think this is a good place for me to wrap up this video. Wish you well, and until next time.